Week one. Well, it's not over. We got two great games today: South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Obviously,
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Miami. Then North Carolina, TCU tomorrow. But look, it's Crain and Company. It's the first Sunday recap of the year, and guys, I don't know if we're gonna have anything to talk about after
Yeah, not
yesterday.
much.
Not a lot went on, but we're gonna try and get to everything again. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We appreciate you being here, and we do have a live stream this afternoon. There's no NFL yet, right? So this afternoon, Notre Dame, Miami at Mission Cigar and Social. Make sure you check that out. But guys, we got to start with Alabama and Florida State because everything that happened yesterday had some surprises. But to me, that was the most shocking thing that we saw in the sport. And a lot of people are going to start with talking about, Kalen DeBoer and how bad Alabama is. I'm going to go a little bit a different way. I want to make sure we give credit and give the flowers to Mike Norvell and Gus Malzahn and Tony White and Tommy Castellanos and Chroma and Salcha and that wide receiver room and that Florida State defense. That to me was more about Florida State being back than it was about Alabama
Yes.
not having a good performance. Because at the end of the day, when you play this transfer portal, you know, roller coaster ride that Mike Norvell does, the biggest question we had was how can you replace the trenches? Not only did they replace them, but they beat Alabama to death. And I mean, David, just starting with you, to me, it's not just that Alabama lost, it's how they got beat. And that was up front.
Jake, you just hit the nail on the head. The conversation over here at my house was obviously, okay, does this say more about Alabama or Florida State? And I said it has to say more about Florida State because while every football game says a lot about both teams, and maybe Alabama is a little bit less good than we thought, Florida State is clearly way better than we thought. And this was the big question. 2 years ago, they go undefeated, win the ACC by leaning on the transfer portal. A year ago, they go 2-10. You should never go 2-10 at a place like Florida State. Thomas Castellanos runs his mouth the entire offseason, says Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban to save him, and then he backs it up. And they rushed for 236 yards. I understand Tim Keenan wasn't in the game. I understand Alabama had some serious injuries, but 236 yards rushing absolutely bullied them. I had to just, I was blinking. Like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And what made it even more weird to me is, and this is why I have my notes, every note I take throughout every drive of a game, Ty Simpson started out awesome. Yeah. I'm writing things down like Ty Simpson, live arm, great feet. Alabama's going to be great. The rest of the 3.5 quarters, I'm like, what happened, man? Florida State on both sides of the ball bullied you.
Well, and to your point, Cone, what I thought was the most ironic thing was we sat here and look, I'll crow when I'm right and eat crow when I'm wrong. And there's a long way to go. This Alabama team we'll see. But what was ironic to me is the biggest question we were asking was, and I think we asked it last week, was, Blaine, what's going to happen with the first time something goes bad for Florida State? Like, are they going to be able to have the mental fortitude to bounce back? Well, in an unbelievable stroke of irony, it was the first thing that happened bad to Alabama, that they were the ones that shrunk. Dog, y'all get the ball and go march 17 plays.
Yeah.
On script, on time, FU up front, adult runs, right? Nothing sexy from Ty Simpson. Feeling good. Florida State doesn't cave because you have a stupid penalty that extends the drive as well. But Florida State goes down and scores and answers you. And then Blaine, they just crumbled. It was like somebody pissed in their snow cone machine. Like, it was.
That suck.
It's so wild to see an Alabama team that just folds like a wilted flower, and Florida State just kept doing it. I mean, Blaine, Bama. What was it? They didn't have positive rushing yards until somewhere like halfway through the third quarter after that first drive. It just blew my mind.
Well, I mean, you really find out about a team, you find out about an offense and a quarterback when you do what? You get off script. And I think when Alabama was on script, I mean, they looked like one of the best teams in the country. When they got off script, right, Ty Simpson started to do what? Press. His feet weren't great in the pocket. He'd immediately see ghosts and run out. But I tell you what, if you're an Alabama fan, and I'm not coming from an Auburn standpoint, but the last guy you ever want to see again is Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn has signed his life, made a deal with somebody at a crossroads. You said to say, you know what? I just want to beat Alabama. And I thought Gus did such a good job with motions, eye candy, Castellanos, even the throws that he had to make were crazy tough throws. The wheel was probably the toughest one. And the thing about it is that blew my mind is Alabama just looked tentative.
Yeah.
Scared to go. Right? They're waiting in the hole, not going to get people, not excited on defense. I remember when Alabama had a bunch of killers, murderers, running around on the Reuben Fosters, just somewhat, you know what, close your eyes and go run into a brick wall. And now it just looked like Alabama wasn't ready to play, especially in that second quarter. And you go to the offense, and it comes to Ryan Williams. Look, man, you can't paint your nails and not catch the ball. You can't have an anxiety teddy bear and not go out there and catch the ball. Bernard is the best receiver on Alabama's team right now to me, the way he played. But Ty Simpson, you can tell he's a young quarterback. That defense was a letdown. Trust me, Keenan can't come in and save you. And Alabama just looked like they weren't ready to play. When's the last time you saw somebody talk shit about Alabama and then come in and back it up? It's been forever. It's now we've been morphed, our brains, into seeing Alabama being so dominant. That is gone. Alabama looked like a mediocre team yesterday, and I don't think it's just because they played bad.
Well, I mean, Cone, when you look at again, Florida State's offensive line and defensive line and the ability to play on the other team's line of scrimmage, that was the story to me, because it seemed like after the first quarter, to Blaine's point, Ty Simpson, who he looked a lot like in the pocket, David? And I haven't heard anybody else say this yesterday. You know who he reminded me of? Watched him. I told Blaine this at halftime. I was like, oh, buddy, looks like Peyton Thorne right now to me.
Oh, not on the first drive, but
outside the first. Well, what's crazy is sometimes Peyton would have that first drive, but then all of a sudden, the pressure starts to heat up a little bit, and you're taking off out of the pocket, right? Your feet. If you watched his feet yesterday, Ty never looked comfortable in the pocket after that first drive. There was a couple throws and tough-ass runs that he made, breaking tackles and this, that, or the other. And I think he has the ability. But again, the confidence, I'm so used to watching Bama and being like, all right, how are they going to find a way to win this game? And when the punt was dropped and muffed, I was like, okay, here we go. But every time, Florida State, to Mike Norvell's credit, and everybody talking about Gus Malzahn today, and I get that. He didn't do anything that he hasn't done in the past. You got that jet sweep motion. You got power read. You got Q power. He's going to give you that eye candy. He's going to give you misdirection, then hit you with a reverse. The star of the day to me was Tony White and what this defense did at Florida State. And the total reversal, guys, Alabama rushing, Kevin Riley, 5 for 31. Richard Young, 9 for 26. Ty Simpson, 9 for 17. You shut down the run game. You shut down the big plays. They really only hurt you on a 17-play drive to start off the game, and I'd rather give it up early. Bro, I'm outside of Jeremy Bernard hitting you for $1.50 and some waffle fries. Tony White's defense locked Alabama down yesterday. I'm as impressed with Tony White as I am Gus Malzahn.
I'll say something about both quarterbacks and then both head coaches. Ty Simpson, if he can replicate what he did on the first drive for the majority of a game, Alabama's still going to win a lot of football games, right? Like, I don't think we're in a situation where they're going to do what Florida State did last year, but I'll get to the coaching in a second. Thomas Castellanos, the proposition that I put to you guys in our upset episode that we did this week was, he's going to have to figure out a way to do what he does best for an entire game and then not do anything that he does poorly in terms of like erratic plays and turn the football over. And man, did he deliver on that. It was actually fascinating to watch. It was like watching Kyler Murray or something. But again, all credit to Mike Norvell for not panicking, because this Florida State team, ever since they didn't get selected for the college football playoff, they went on to play Georgia in the bowl game. They got broken in 2 pieces, won 2 games a year ago. This guy never panicked. He said, what do? We solved the problem. Let's go get 2 great coordinators, bring them in, and now look how they've started this season. But on the Alabama front, Blaine, I get that they're not hoarding the best players in the country like they used to be able to under Nick Saban, but they still have a lot of really good players. And I'm watching a head coach on the sideline right now just look like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
I'm watching Georgia is up by 45 points, and Kirby Smart is slinging his headset all around. Do we even care on the sideline? Say what you will about what Will Muschamp, his head coaching career, but I knew that dude cared at least when he's running up and down the sidelines. And I'm not saying this coaching staff doesn't care, because I know personally a lot of these coaches on the staff, and they're great guys, they're smart guys, they're going to be great head coaches. But still, the vibe doesn't look right on the sideline when I look at Alabama. And now we have an entire sample size last year without Nick Saban. And so far we're one game in. And how many losses do they have to non-ranked teams? 4. The same amount Nick Saban had in an 18-year tenure at Alabama? Not great.
Well, Blaine, again, and you go back to the one season, it felt like Nick Saban struggled at Alabama in his first. I mean, he inherited basically nothing. He had to build it from the ground up, and then he built it. Kalen DeBoer inherited a Ferrari and doesn't know and just can't figure out how to turn it on. Well, it's like he's sitting in the garage. He just can't figure it out.
Yeah, the thing with me is you can tell there's a mentality change.
For sure.
At Alabama. And that's what, if I'm an Alabama fan, that's what I would be afraid of most. You're not going to be able to hoard the talent what Nick Saban did. It's just nobody can do that now. I don't care who it is. It's just impossible to do. But the intensity is gone. And your team is a direct reflection of your head coach. And David, I agree with you. Kalen DeBoer just on the sidelines or how to deal with it. And the Alabama team on offense and defense just looked unsure of what they were seeing. And you can't play tentative when you go against a team like Florida State. It's not like Florida State just came out, spreaded it around, threw it here, threw it there. Florida State lined up and just whipped your ass up front. Okay,
fourth and one in the big gap.
Physically,
you remember fourth and one?
They physically beat you up. And I can't remember the last time I saw a team, really, maybe Michigan last year, but you thought it was going to be a new year. And I thought Ryan Grubb did not call a great game.
No, once he got
I did not at all. I thought he got away from the run too much. Early downs and put it all on Ty Simpson. Look, this is Ty Simpson's first legitimate start going at Florida State. All right, he's not going to be perfect, and we know that. But I don't think Ryan Grubb helped him out at all. Obviously, you can't take sacks, but you were having success in the running game early, and you went away from that on early downs and it put Ty Simpson in a bad spot. And the Alabama defense, to me, it's not even close right now. If you're not going to be the best athletes, you better have the best motor. And Florida State was way more intense from start to finish in that football game.
Well, the two things, and I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, because we have a lot of people that listen on the West Coast, and we love you guys, and y'all are the best and everything. But it's looking, Alabama to me is starting to turn into a finesse West Coast football team. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
It's not and again, Blaine, your point is valid. It's well taken. You're not going to be able to hoard all that talent up front, but it's still Alabama. Look at the way you've recruited. You should dominate the line of scrimmage in 90% of the games you play, or you should have an FU attitude about it and cause some damage while you're trying to do it. They're not doing that. It looks like that you have a therapist, not a coach. Being a therapist is a part of coaching. It's not the job of coaching. And attitude does reflect leadership. But, oh, boy, looks confused on the sidelines. Kalen DeBoer looks confused on the sidelines. Every time they show him, he's like the sun's in his eyes. It's just, why can't we just line up and be better than what we're doing right now? So,
Alabama fans are seeing that, man, because my phone was blowing up the whole time. And both of you just hit on important points, because here's the last 3 notes that I took watching this game. 1, Alabama has abandoned the run. Blaine, you touched on that. Yeah. Ryan Williams is overrated. That's just a line I didn't think I'd be writing down in week 1 here watching Alabama. And then the last one was, quote unquote, this is from the announcers in the game, quote unquote, creative ways. Alabama needs to find creative ways to have success against Florida State. Jake, this is the point you were alluding to. I wrote out creative ways. Line up and hand the football off and be better than the team in front of you. That's the Alabama I know. You know how creative we were in high school running the wishbone? The play was either 34 or 45 off tackle, and we'll probably tell you which way it's going, because
even
we
to the right, odds to the left.
We're not getting creative, brother. We're just better than you, and I just don't think that's the situation in Tuscaloosa anymore.
Well, it's so here's, again, I'm more fascinated with how good is this Florida State team. After watching Clemson last night, Clemson I thought looked pretty good in some spots. You had one guy that got hurt. We're going to get into that.
So can they win the ACC? Can
They can win
Florida
the
State
ACC.
win the ACC?
Yes.
I think I
play-
can't wait to watch Miami today.
They
just
play
to
Miami
see.
at home. They play Clemson on the road. Obviously,
Look.
they have an out-of-conference game at Florida, but that won't affect them in the ACC.
Yeah,
I
I think this Florida State team's if they're going to play like that, and Castellanos is a perfect fit for that. It's Nick Marshall zero sugar. That's what it is. That's what he is in that system with Gus Malzahn. Bro, I'm looking at the schedule like FSU may be back. Like they may be back. Like again, but on the FSU side, hell yeah, you get your flowers. To just kind of put a bow on it, for the Alabama side, I do think Alabama is in a position where that rarely you're in where you have good enough players to fix it and still be really good. Like this isn't like, oh no, all of our players suck. Like we're just bad. We're a bad football team. We can't get better. Bama can get better, but guys, it's the culture that has to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't flip overnight. Like that's the scariest thing if you're an Alabama fan, like Blaine said, is like all of a sudden now I walk in and instead of just the normal chairs, we got beanbag chairs and there's, like peace, love, and throw the screen on a poster on the wall. And, you got MSNBCs on like in the weight room. Like this just feels real.
You knew it was different when the reports are, hey, this year we're going to be different. We're not allowed to be late to meetings anymore.
It's like when Nick Saban was there, it was almost like he did his own startup, right?
Yeah.
He did his own startup. He worked his ass off. He knew everything that goes in and out of this company. And then you sold to Google, and that's when Kalen DeBoer came. Now you have nap pods, right? Have team communication meetings and stuff like that. It's just
communication.
I will say this, and I caught a lot of hell for this. I just didn't think Ryan Williams was that great in the first place. I thought he caught one big pass against Georgia, did a couple spins, and went and scored a touchdown, and then everybody freaked out. I didn't even think he was the best receiver on his football team, and we kind of saw that yesterday. But I will say I will say this. I think Florida State is an extremely good football team. If they keep doing what they're doing, they'll have a shot for the ACC. Alabama has the players to turn this around. And I think there's a perfect opportunity for Ty Simpson to grow, right? And Alabama's not used to having to play from behind. So now the expectations are Alabama sucks. They're going to be a mediocre football team in the SEC. I think this is a perfect opportunity for Kalen DeBoer to turn this around. I'm sure whoever they play next week, they're going to absolute murder. But Alabama has the athletes to go far in this college football season. It's just a couple things they're missing, and kind of got hit on the other day. Since they don't have that true edge guy. Right, where they don't have that Will Anderson.
Yeah.
They don't have that Dallas Turner, that difference maker on the edge, right? I thought the secondary did not play well at all. It's just you feel for Kalen DeBoer because I like Kalen DeBoer as a person. Right?
Yeah, I'd probably rather hang out with him than Nick Saban, but we're not talking about hanging out.
Yeah, I know. And I promise you right now, that seat warmer, all right, is all the way up.
How hot is it?
It's as hot as it can get.
So
there's no way it's hotter.
Yeah.
Like I agree with Blaine.
And I don't know if you can fire him. He signed through like 2031.
But the Bama, if anybody will put you on the raft early, even though they got to, pay you lots of monies, it's going to be Alabama for football. I mean, you got ULM, poor Vincent, what they're going to do to them. Then you get Wisconsin at home. Then you go to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously you're going to beat ULM. You should still beat Wisconsin. Man, you go lose at Georgia.
I don't know if y'all saw what I saw. First of all, what a cover by Marshall. Second of all, Georgia is massive.
Yeah.
Marshall, by the way, Tony Gibson was our secondary coach under Rich Rodriguez when I was at Michigan. Good to see he's still the head man at Marshall. But yeah, again, I want to stress that in a 12-team college football playoff era, it's less about the losses, right? Like they lost at Florida State. You could go on the road and lose to Georgia. You're not going to be favored in that game. You're 10-2. The Buckeyes were 10-2 a year ago. They were a clean sweep in the playoff and they're national champs. Yes, Alabama could do that. It's more about what you look like and not having any fight. Where's the fight? Like lose going down in a dog fight. That's what I've seen Georgia do under Kirby Smart.
Yeah. I mean, look, FSU they wanted it more and they outdogged you. And that if you're an FSU fan, we talk about, hey, if FSU keeps it close, they should feel good that they don't suck. Look, if I'm an FSU fan this morning, I'm waking up, it's natty or bust. after
yeah.
that performance.
It felt like Floyd Mayweather Jr. to me. Like watching someone talk that much trash and then go out there and no one can lay a glove on you. It reminded me of Floyd Mayweather.
That was Castellanos. Again, you talked it and you backed it up. Mad respect. Like, obviously, mad respect for Castellanos. But we want to know in the chat, what do you guys think? I mean, is DeBoer cooked? Like, is he honestly cooked? Because if they go 8-4, guys, I think they're gonna fire him. If they go 8-4 and they lose to Auburn, they're gonna fire this guy. And people say the buy out this, buy out that, blase. Look, I really believe they.
A lot of season left. College football fans are really good at overreacting.
Yeah.
All right. I think Alabama will somewhat fix it, put it on the tracks, and I think you'll see a better game versus they're going to kill Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's terrible.
Yeah, especially if that quarterback's hurt.
That Georgia game, I think, will be a little closer than what people think. So I think Alabama fans, panic, but don't panic too much.
Don't burn you don't have to go into the vault you built and shut it and let the bombs hit on the surface. It's not fallout yet. But, hey, we're having some people say some things that are kind of scaring everybody.
We're bringing in the generals.
Go get some canned peaches or something.
Yeah, we're bringing in the generals, and we're asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it right now. But let us know, again, in the comments, what do you think? What do you think about Florida State? Can they win a national championship? And, again, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that like button. All right, boys. One of the three, and again, we live streamed Auburn Baylor. That was a lot of fun. We got Miami, Notre Dame today, South Carolina, Virginia Tech today, Miami, TCU tomorrow. So we're not done. But one of the games that everybody's been looking forwards to, the debut of Arch Manning in Texas.
God!
Going to the shoe. Now, look. Obviously,
well, you thought we weren't going to talk about this?
I thought we were going Clemson LSU first.
You thought we weren't going to talk about Arch Manning being what we thought he was?
Yeah. Listen, Bama lost yesterday, and y'all know how I feel about Bama. But to be honest with you, I was pretty much right about everything else. Right about everything, including that you don't need to overreact from Arch Manning's first performance, but we don't know anything yet. We didn't know anything yet because he hasn't been able to show us anything yet. And you have people coming out here anointing him the next Tim Tebow, right? Or the best thing. Oh, in his free time, he's a carpenter. And, he can, he does 3 languages and used to wear glasses. Thanks, Warby Parker. No, you've got to show me you can do it before I believe that you can do it 100%. And yesterday, going into that environment, and you can make whatever excuse you want. Ohio State's defense is damn good. The secondary was locking everybody up from Texas. That's another thing. Texas couldn't get open because of how talented this Ohio State secondary is. But, David, I want to start with you. When you're the guy, it's different. You're not running out there in individual packages anymore, responsible for 3 things. And when you look at him in the pocket, boy was rattled in the pocket. His feet were never really settled. The couple times that he did stay in rhythm, he made some really good throws. The whole shot versus cover 2 that he hit in the second half was nasty, but he missed so many layups. Go back to the first throw, rolling right. He skipped 5 yards in front of a wide open receiver. It just looked like a young quarterback with a lot of pressure going to play a really damn good team, and he wasn't comfortable. That's what it looked like to me. And I don't think Sark called a very good game. I think Ryan Grubb and Sark struggled in the play calling department, and that'll probably never happen again on the same day.
What question did I ask every Texas beat writer this summer after Quinn Ewers fell to the 7th round? I said, hey, if Quinn Ewers could come back this year and play quarterback at Texas, hypothetically, is that something that Steve Sarkisian would want, or are we already locked into Arch Manning? And everyone said the same thing. No. Arch is going to be better. Arch would start this year. Quinn Ewers would have to transfer. And I said, really? Because I watched that other guy go to back-to-back college football playoffs. I watched that other guy go into Tuscaloosa and beat Nick Saban on the road, go into Ann Arbor and beat Michigan on the road. Have we seen enough with Arch Manning delivering the football through the air downfield to know that he's going to be the guy at Texas, regardless of what his last name is? And everyone assured us, right? Yes. And it was the most talked about thing this offseason. Well, that's exactly what happened. He couldn't deliver the football through the air downfield effectively enough to go on the road and beat a team like this. So then the narrative on social media yesterday is twofold. One, and I heard Gus Johnson say it from the booth, to be honest, when he said how unfair that Arch Manning has to get his first legitimate start against the Buckeyes, a top 5 team. What? This is college football, man. Like, you've been anointed as Paul Feinbaum said you're the best college football player since Tim Tebow. Yeah, you're going to have to go play really good football teams. You don't think you're going to match up with these guys in the college football playoff if you want to win a championship? So miss me with that. And then on the Steve Sarkisian didn't call a great game point, I was confused by some things. Why are we not getting Ryan Wingo involved on end arounds and things that I've watched him do consistently for the last couple of years? But still, this is the only head coach in college football that's been to the college football playoff the last 2 seasons. Arch Manning is skip passing his first pass to wide receivers. That's not on Steve Sarkisian. So I understand, look, you went on the road, you played a really good team. I'm so glad we got this game. Texas is still going to win a lot of football games. I'm not panicking, but he's best when he uses his legs. Use that skill set, especially when you need it most in the second half and you're trying to come back and beat a team like the Buckeyes.
Well, David, let me dive a little bit further into what I mean. I just want to see if you notice this. I just want to see if you agree. And I know you'll tell me if you don't agree, because it's something that I believe I brought up when we had Josh Pate on last week. Was I'm interested to see, and I know that Arch has been there for a while, but there's so much that Steve Sarkisian does pre-snap, formationally, from a motion standpoint, to kind of give you misdirection, to put the ball in his best player's hands in ways that kind of catch you off balance. And how will that be with Arch going on the road for his first game? I'm going to tell you, yesterday, it felt like there wasn't as much pre-snap fat for Texas. Am I the only one?
What does that tell you?
They're just lining up and snapping. There were sometimes didn't even motion. Yeah. Like, it didn't look the same. I mean, Quinn Ewers at some point looked like a conductor for an orchestra last year. And maybe that's because the communication, you saw Sark screaming about it at the beginning of the game. They couldn't hear each other or whatever. But I just felt like that offense looked a lot more vanilla than what we've seen in the past with Quinn Ewers. Did you notice that at all, or am I just tripping?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the two things, again, on the road in that environment, early in the game, I don't mind you not shifting and doing so many things like that because you could get false start penalties. The two things that I wrote down with question marks are, one, why are we not getting our first QB run with Arch Manning, something I know he can do, until the second quarter, right? I thought that would be a legitimate part of the game planning because those are the packages we saw him come in when he was coming in for Quinn Ewers last year. And then also, why are we not getting Ryan Wingo more involved in the quick game, tunnel screens, end arounds like I've seen him do before? But still, I think if Steve Sarkisian calls that exact same game plan for Quinn Ewers, and Quinn Ewers is the quarterback, Texas puts up a better showing. I mean, there's at one point in the game, I'm seeing more Arch Manning commercials than I'm seeing Arch Manning completions. We can't just hide that fact.
No, Blaine, if you're a Texas fan, I'd feel better than I would if I was an Alabama fan right now. You lost in 2 totally different ways. In 2 totally different situations. But as somebody that has to bleach his hair blonde now, I mean, just where do you stand on it?
I mean, is it frosted tips? Is it mustache? I mean, we'll get into that conversation.
Bro, if you Lance Bass this thing with frosted tips, we'll
get in that conversation later. But yeah, it feels like I got a call from a number and they said something happened to my bank account and they need my routing number. And it's a fraud report. That's what it is. It's a fraud report.
No way. He's a fraud to you.
Yeah. And well, the thing about it is, I will say this. It looked like Steve Sarkisian called an offense to where he doesn't trust his quarterback. That's what it looks like to me. You could kind of say a little bit different on the other side with Ohio State. Julian said better, but not great. 2, I don't know if Sark. I think you're right, David. I think Sark was calling this game as Quinn Ewers at quarterback. Right? Arch is not just a sit back, 5-step drop, going to beat you from the pocket type of guy. All right? He's a running quarterback, in my opinion. You saw that last year, and you didn't get a QB run until the second quarter. That's unacceptable. All right? Arch looked sped up from the beginning. He didn't look comfortable from the beginning. He never got in a rhythm in this football game. His feet were messed up. He skipped his first pass. His arm angles weren't matching what his body should do. So everything that I'm more worried about is how we let this go at practice. How did we not hear this more coming out of fall or out of spring? Because I guarantee you, with that defense that Texas had, they had to kick their ass up and down the field. Up and down the field if this is what really Arch Manning is. And I thought the defense played well for Texas. And you go back, and it's another thing. Look, at the end of the day, did Arch not play well? For sure. But Texas had their chances. I mean, that fourth and goal, that fourth and goal call was horrendous. The entire Ohio State's defense was in the A gap.
Yeah.
They were in the A and B gap. They knew exactly what you're doing. You weren't going to get that. So I think Arch is not at least what I thought he was. But I think Texas is in a lot better position than Alabama because we do know this. Ryan Wingo's an absolute dog. Why we only heard from him started the third quarter, I'll never know. And that defense is for real.
Yeah.
Is for real. And that'll keep them in every single football game. I think Arch will get better, but we got lied to, man. Or at least I got lied to because he's not even close to what I thought he was.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get back to Texas. And again, a lot of the talk is going to be about Arch. But, I want to start with Julian saying, ho-hum. I'll tell you another thing. Go back and watch the tape. Oh, boy's dropping dimes out there.
Can sling it.
And again, this is what we said, right? We're talking about when Julian saying left Alabama because from people that I trust at Bama, they're like, look, this one hurts. Like, oh, boy's really accurate with it. Dude, it wasn't sexy. He was 13 to 20 for 126 yards, 1 touchdown. I want to bring up a couple things. One, he had 3 or 4 drops, even on the play where he should have hit Jeremiah Smith for a touchdown on the post, where Max Clare
threw it to Claire. That was a great ball.
That was a great ball. Jeremiah dropped 2 that hit him in his hands. But David, it's how comfortable he looked, and against one of the best defenses, maybe the best defense he'll see all year. Like, we'll see with Michigan, but like that may be the best defense. And Penn State, that may be the best defense that he sees all year. And I thought he made good decisions. How many times did we look and say, with Arch Manning, oh, that should have been a pick. Ohio State should have picked that off. How many times did we say on any ball that Julian Sand threw, oh, that should have been intercepted? I can't remember saying it once. And again, C.J. Donaldson, 19 carries, 70 yards. James Peoples, 10 carries, 20 yards. Nothing extraordinary, but they did what they had to do, and they made the run on 4th and goal, and Texas didn't make the run on 4th and goal. I think both these guys are going to get better, but I'm telling you right now, with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith and Max Clare and CJ and Peoples and all these guys that Ohio State has, talk about growth potential, teams that won with a ton of growth potential, with the things running around on defense. Ohio State's cooking, buddy. They're cooking. And Julian's saying, he's top chef. How did you mix the mango and the seaweed and make it work? Well, he made it work.
And here's all you really need to know about how they feel about Julian Sand. That play that you're talking about where everyone said, oh, well, he missed Jeremiah Smith wide open. He could have thrown a touchdown. That was 4th down. That was 4th and short. Yeah. And instead of the Buckeyes running for that, what did they do? Play action, get the linebackers downhill who just knew it was going to be a run. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're calling play action with a new quarterback at midfield on 4th down, and he hits Max Clare right in the hands. You got to catch that ball. And in terms of missing the read, we don't know what the progression was. That could have been his natural progression, and he's throwing to the first open receiver, making the correct read. I don't know exactly how the play was broken down, but anyway, he's going to be really good. He can absolutely spin it. And even when he's not perfect, the touchdown to Tate was not a great throw. That ball was underthrown. He's close enough to let the great playmakers, like we talked about for the Buckeyes, go bail him out of trouble. So that's what I was really excited to see for him.
Blaine, this Ohio State defense, like out of all the defenses you saw yesterday, we said the one concern, if you go back and look at our previews, was the interior of that defensive line. I thought they held up pretty good. Texas popped them a couple times. Wisner can be sneaky in there. He can be small. But overall, especially when you look at the pass game, I mean, Ohio State, it was the alligator it was Buckeye Alcatraz in the secondary yesterday with Caleb and those guys, Igbinosin. I mean, good Lord, this Ohio State can win it again.
For sure. And I don't think this has gotten talked about enough. I mean, the biggest question coming in for me, at least, it wasn't a talent question. It was everything was new, right? I thought Brian Hartline called this game fantastic. Almost perfect, in my opinion. What did he do early, right? He got Julian saying some comfortable throws. Something quick out, maybe a wide receiver screen, an easy read, throwing into pressure when you're knowing the blitz coming. So I thought Julian Sand walked into this game comfortable. I thought Brian took his shots when he needed to take his shots, and he relied on his defense when he needed to rely on his defense. And I thought Matt Patricia on the other side, right? Didn't have to complicate it too much, right? Just send your guys out there. You have a quarterback on defense. He's a Ken Griffey Jr. He can play center field. He can play whatever position you want to. And you lock down these Texas receivers, and you somewhat stop the run game. I thought, look, you play against a Sark coach team. He's going to find a couple of wrinkles here and there in the run game. But at the end of the day, they didn't let a huge one. pop. And I thought Brian Hartline was just almost perfect in this football game. He knew exactly what he had from a personnel standpoint. Jeremiah didn't play well, in my opinion, and he found other ways to get
I'll
guys
tell you what
the
he
ball.
did good, though, Blaine. I'll tell you what Hartline did really good for Jeremiah Smith was getting him in the slot and then motioning interior receivers past him. That really helped open him up in that spacing game because Texas was having to have non-corners on him. And they did a great job for most of the game, right? They had a good bracket plan, but getting Jeremiah Smith in the slot was a great call by Hartline.
Yeah, and he knows when it comes to getting receivers in the right place, if anybody knows how to do that, it's Brian Hartline. But I think this Ohio State offensive line needs some love too. Yeah. All right, because they had some turnover there, but these guys, I didn't hear much from Colin Simmons.
No.
Right?
Well, that I was just about to ask you guys, how many times did you hear Anthony Hill Jr.'s name get called?
Not much.
I think he was persona non grata in this game for a guy who we rank #1 player in the SEC coming in.
Yeah. Well, here's the horrifying part for everybody else outside of Ohio State. Your quarterback didn't throw for 150 yards. You didn't have a running back rush for 70 or more yards. You didn't have one receiver have a total of 50 yards receiving. Tate had 2 catches for 49 yards, and you beat the #1 team in the country. Like,
not our #1, but yeah.
Well, in the ranked Texas, we'll see at the end of the day. But you beat Texas, right? Which we know we have a ton of respect for. If I'm an Ohio State fan, you want to talk about giving me personal blossoming joy? You have not even scratched what you can do, and you just had to get through this game. This is one of those humongous seeding games as well that's going to matter at the end of the season when you're trying to get a top 4 spot and get that bye in the second round. That's why this win's huge for Ohio State. That's why that win's huge for Florida State. That's why the win's huge for LSU going on the road at Clemson. But I just, both these teams are going to be fantastic. Would not be shocked if we saw a rematch of this game. But guys, a lot of the talk's going to be about Arch. And, even if the hype wasn't as big as it has been, because it was impossible for him to live up to it, I think it was a down game for him.
At least get 4th and 1 on the goal line. Like, if you're not going to come in and be Michael Penix Jr. or Joe Burrow through the air, which I asked this question all offseason, like, really, you think he's just going to turn into like Joe Burrow in the offseason? I don't see it. At least get 4th and 1 on the goal line. That's what you're in there, and that's what you're good at. I tell you, I told you guys my best bet was the under in this game for all the reasons we talked about. New quarterbacks, new coordinators, all that. The under sure hit. The only thing in this game that really surprised me was that Texas doubled up the Buckeyes in rushing yards. They rushed for 166, which I think is further proof that it wasn't necessarily a Steve Sarkisian problem, because we know how much he wants to run the football. You rush for 166 in the horseshoe. If I had seen that stat, I would have bet the bank that the Texas wins this football game. I'm glad I didn't, because that was the only thing that really shocked me.
Well, the thing that hurts the most, to be honest, as bad as Arch played, and it was bad, you had a chance at the end to reverse it all.
True.
Yeah.
To reverse it all. You had your drive, right? You had your moment to where everything I did before this doesn't matter. When it mattered the most, I showed up. And he folded. And that wasn't a Steve Sarkisian problem, that drive. He missed 2 wide open throws.
Yeah, the guy on the cross that he
the guy on the cross, the corner to Wingo, he missed 2 wide open throws. And you can't be mediocre and not clutch. And Arch was both of those in that football game.
Well, he's got a long way to go. He's going to be fine. I just, again, got to see him more, got to see him progress. But this ceiling, this limitless ceiling I keep hearing about, I don't know. It may just end up being that 2-story condo that some of us thought it was going to be. That's where the ceiling was. But going to be fun to watch the rest of the way. What just an absolute physical war that game was, just watching on TV and listening to it. In the comments, let us know, what do you think? I mean, do you consider Arch a bust already? You think he's going to be able to turn it around? How good is this Ohio State team? How good is this Texas team? Anything else you guys want to add about this one?
Great football game, man. I'm glad we got to see a game of this magnitude this early in the season.
Yeah, me too. Congrats to both these teams for scheduling it. And you're fine. You're still in it. It's the best part about a 12-team playoff. If this is the BCS, you'd be in a lot of trouble probably right about now. But it's not. You still got the 12-team playoff. So, again, let us know. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you're keeping up with all the content on Crain & Company, because we're pumping it out. All right, boys. Look, you got to come on here and call a spade a spade. And I got to give some flowers. Go ahead and put them hands up, young blood. Go ahead and put them up there, Blaine. You called it.
Jonah Hill, Moneyball.
You called it. You got in front of the whiteboard. You know, you drew some numbers, made it make sense. I tell you what, a lot of people are going to talk about Nussmeier. I mean, he had 230 yards passing, 28 to 38, 1 touchdown. Thought the play calling offensively was really, really good. 2 things. 1, LSU ran the ball pretty well, I thought. That was the question, right? That was the bugaboo last year. You couldn't run the ball as well as what we thought you could with Will Campbell and these other guys. Well, not only did you run the ball better in the first game, really, without him, you had your starting left tackle go out for a series. You had to basically play musical chairs. And Caden Durham, who had that big early run where he broke that tackle and was able to get away, ended up with 74 yards on 17 carries. It's a pretty good mark there with 1 touchdown. I thought Xavier Thomas did some good things when they brought him in, wide receiver that plays running back. So you got the running element down to a point where Nuss was able to operate in the second half in a more balanced attack. But the story to me, y'all gave Blake Baker a lot of money in that Louisiana vault. You gave him a lot of gold bars, a lot of free crawfish and gumbo. And the results came back, and I don't think you gave him enough. LSU's defense is back, baby.
Woo! Say it again.
What we wanted to see. That looked like, you talk about nostalgia. That was like me driving when we go, in some of the small parts of Tennessee and Alabama. You see one of those old gas stations with an old Coke sign. You're like, God, back then they come and pump your gas for you.
Sweet tea.
Probably give you a bologna sandwich or something for free. Go to church together. They were flying around. LSU's defense was flying around. Blake, he called what he called. It just looked like he finally had the personnel. And watching Harold Perkins look comfortable, just like a shark. You talk about Caleb Downs and what he can do and create. You get Harold Perkins comfortable. I'm just happy for LSU fans, man. Y'all look back. Y'all look back and y'all look bad, man. That's a huge win. Huge win.
Congrats,
go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead, man.
Well, look. All right.
You called this one.
Well, did I call this game? Yeah. But the big thing with me was this. 1, I think LSU looked better than anybody in the country.
Really? See, that's surprising to me.
Yesterday.
Okay.
You're on the road at Clemson.
Fair.
A lot of people have them winning their national championship. Hell, I have them in the national championship against, you bring back all this talent on defense for Clemson. You got all these first-round picks on defense. You bring back Cade Klubnik. I will say this, Antonio Williams going out for Clemson sucks.
That hurt.
That's their guy, their difference maker. But even with Clemson bringing back all this talent from last year, they still gave up a lot of yards on the ground. A lot of yards on the ground. 1, we've said this, Caden Durham is a damn good back. Mm-hmm. If you're just now finding that out, you need to start listening to Crain and Company more often because Caden Durham is the real thing. Those receivers, Barry and Brown, a problem, right? The receiving core, number 1, an absolute problem, and you know what you have with Nuss. But the big story is this, is the defense looked like an LSU defense.
Yeah.
Right? They were on the attack. They weren't waiting to get attacked. They were coming to get you. And not only from a physical standpoint were they better, but from an IQ standpoint. And that's what Blake Baker's in love with. You can throw 7 different kinds of smoke when you have high IQ individual players on defense. Yeah. And that's what you have. Hell, you didn't even have your starting safety for the first half of this football game. And your backup came in and played a hell of a first half.
He did. Do you know how many points LSU's defense gave up when Halsey came back in the second half? 0. I haven't been that excited about Halsey since she broke up with G-Eazy.
And we talked about this, and my big bugaboo for Clemson this year is like, look, you don't have that running back this year. You don't have Phil Maffa back there toting the rock. You don't have Will Shipley back there toting the rock. It's a running back by committee. And if you turn one-dimensional against any team, it's going to make life harder a lot on Cade Klubnik. And what Blake Baker did from a blitzing standpoint was an absolute perfection. Perfection, because Clemson loves to get in those long play action. You give Cade time back there so the dig and the post can come over the top. Blake Baker, we're just going to come get your ass. And that's what they did the entire game, and I don't think Clemson adjusted. But the big story to me was, one, LSU can run the ball, and two, that defense is for real. Not only are they talented, but they have depth this year, and you saw that all over the field.
Cone, just quickly, because I want to ask you about this with Cade. But Clemson last night, 19 carries, 32 yards.
No, not good enough.
19 carries,
not good enough.
Yards. Blaine means one-dimensional. I felt like Cade was running for his life the whole night.
Man, let's be honest. This game right here may have featured the SEC champ and the ACC champ. Like LSU did look like a team that could move forward and win this conference. And to be honest with you, the way Florida State looked against Alabama, Clemson, y'all might have your hands full. And we're going to find out more tonight when Miami plays. But I was so disappointed in the way Clemson played. And the way Cade Klubnik looked last year against Texas in the college football playoff is really what gave me confidence to say, okay, I think grown a lot since that blowout loss to Georgia in the opener a year ago. I think that with all the talent that they return, I am going to buy in and believe in Clemson this year. And in this game in particular, it made sense. I don't regret my pick at all. They're at home in that environment at night, LSU 5 straight road losses. Like, I felt comfortable in my Clemson pick. But moving forward through the rest of the season, yes, LSU looked back. Yes, LSU looked great on defense. But, man, Clemson just underperformed, 32 yards rushing, and Cade Klubnik looked like a deer in headlights. Just not good. They're going to win a lot of ACC games. I'm not saying they're going to go 6-6. They're going to maybe even run through the ACC. But when you're meeting up against teams like this again at the back end of the year, maybe even in the college football playoff, the performance you put forward just wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah, Blaine, I mean, that offensive, because I thought Clemson on defense played pretty well. Like, I know they gave up some rushing yards, but you gave up 3 points at halftime. You know, obviously in the second half, I thought LSU adjusted well because the run game started to come around, but then you look at the way that Garrett Nussmeier spread the ball out. And this is what he does. This is why it's hard to defend Garrett when there's any semblance of a run game. It's not really the wow plays. It's just how good he is at distributing the ball to everybody. Aaron Anderson, 6 catches, 99 yards. Juwan Johnson, 5 catches, 31 yards. Barry and Brown, 5 catches, 25 yards. Caden Durham, 3 catches, 22 yards. Bauer Sharp, the tight end, 5 catches, 18 yards. Trey Green, 2 catches, 17 yards, including that touchdown. So, David, he had 4 different guys with 5 or more catches. And overall, you had 29 receptions from 9 different guys, which is pretty good and really hard to defend because you're able to get it to so many people. I just think Nuss, goes about it the right way. He puts the ball where it's supposed to be. He looked comfortable last night. He didn't panic under the pressure. There was none of those, I'm overreading it. There's the big turnover. And to be honest with you, they screwed LSU out of another touchdown. I mean, LSU should have.
Yeah, terrible call to me.
That reversal was bullshit. That was a touchdown. But I tell you, man, like, it just – LSU looked competent as a team. You talk about football IQ, Blaine. David, LSU looked as competent as a team as I've seen in a really, really long time. They didn't beat themselves.
Yeah, I agree on the touchdown catch. That was a catch to me. If anyone disagrees, please tell us why in the comments because I'd like to know. But on the way Garrett Nussmeier performed, look, there's a scenario. He threw for 4,000 yards a season ago for a reason, right? Like, that wasn't my question coming in. He could have gone 28 for 38, 230 with a touchdown and no interceptions, and LSU rushed for 40 yards, and they lost by 7 instead of won by 7. But that 110 rushing yards, while you held Clemson to 32, that to me is a good sign as LSU moves into Southeastern Conference play. And that's why I say, man, maybe we could be looking at a team here who really does move forward into Atlanta and wins this conference this year.
Blaine, so you said again, if you're a Clemson fan, I don't think you're going to be fine at all. The offensive line's got to be fixed. You'll be able to beat people just because you're better than them most of the time in the ACC. But at Cone's point, you're going to win a national championship, which is what this team wants to do. That offensive line is going to have to be able to figure it out. But you do believe LSU looked like the best team in the country.
I do. Just from an athletic standpoint, like, they have everything you want. Right, the offensive line looked fantastic. You have an experienced quarterback. I mean, you have just a litany of talent at receiver. Your tight end's 7'7". I mean, by the time you get to the 20, you're just throwing fade balls, and he's just basically boxing guys out. Your defense, you have three. Your linebacking core is disgusting. First of all, watching the Weeks brothers play together, I don't know if it's y'all, but that's awesome to me to watch.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
Awesome. Yeah.
Jake, can you imagine me and you playing linebacker
Yeah,
at LSU and going to beat Clemson
Dude,
together and only giving up like 40 rushing yards?
Yeah.
And Harold Perkins Jr., I'm telling you, this LSU team looks like an LSU team that's good enough to go win it all. If they can play like that on defense, you can run around like that on defense and get there and make the play. You held up front, and you have those weapons on offense. And you have right now Nuss. I mean, I don't know if y'all, but he's a leader for the Heisman. In my opinion, after that win, have your Heisman quarterback. You have the freaks. And I thought, what's number 10? Bo.
I heard Jackson Arnold's leading.
I thought Bo Sharp, number 10. The tight end, the other tight end for LSU looked extremely well. I'm just telling you, they have the pieces to make the run. And I thought Joe Sloan called a hell of a game.
I thought he did too.
A hell of a game. When it came from the running game, I thought motioning in Xavier Thomas from receiver, put him in a running back, let him get some carries, that different offset pistol look.
The middle screen calls were
the
really
misdirection,
good.
the screen calls. I thought Joe Sloan had a great feel in this game. I know Blake Baker's going to get a lot of love and credit, in which he should, but Joe Sloan called it was a chess match, buddy, and he won it because that Clemson defense is pretty dang good, especially with the linebacker core they have running around.
Yeah, and look, that was one of those, and we talk about it all the time. Who is the best at adjusting at halftime games? And LSU's coaching staff beat Clemson's coaching staff at halftime. I mean, let's not forget the score when we went into half. I mean, Clemson, you had to feel pretty good about where you were sitting. But LSU, in another stroke of irony, wins their first opener out of 6 games on, without a doubt, their toughest test.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the rest of those, going to Clemson, I'd be like, all right, that one sucks the most. But just the way the football gods work, that LSU is able to find a way. But, I mean, that's about all I have on that one. That was just an old-fashioned go out behind the barnyard and let's throw hands and see who walks out first. And LSU did it, man. LSU did it.
It is more entertaining the day after an LSU loss because they care so much, you know.
For sure.
But again, congrats to all my LSU friends for getting over that, first game hump, because this was a big one, man.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of brown water drank in the stadium.
Yeah, and you don't have to ask if Brian Kelly cares on the sidelines.
Yeah.
If you watched him freak out, I love it.
Well, this was the thing when he was banging his fist on the table after losing to USC last year, and everyone was like calling him out. I'm like, I'd rather see that than what I'm seeing with some coaches around the country.
Yeah, well,
please get
DeBoer
pissed.
looks like he's Icarus staring into the sun.
Like, I love LSU. I mean, Clemson got like 5 yards on first down, and I saw Brian Kelly over there almost choking somebody.
Like, Brian Kelly gets so red. He gets redder throughout the game.
I love it.
He's so red you can see it at night.
I love it. I
do too. I want you to please be that way. Please be angry and be pissed. Don't just be like Dave Aranda. Just like, But no, let us know in the comments. Is this LSU's best team since 2019? Do you still think Clemson can win a national title? And Blaine, again, I'll give you your flowers, man. Good call on this.
This team's better in 2019. I'll tell you right now.
But I just do want to give you credit. That was a great call.
They're better in Dave. They're better in 2019.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Stop it.
They have a better roster.
Would they be favored right this second against the Buckeyes on a neutral site or Georgia on a neutral site?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Georgia, maybe. Ohio State, no.
I think so.
How about the Cowboys?
So. Isn't Julian Sand just a younger Garrett Nussmeier, now that you think about it?
He can run better. Julian Sand didn't run that much.
I know he didn't have to.
Yeah.
He didn't have to. But all right, let us know in the comments what you guys think. Make sure you check out our live stream, Notre Dame and Miami, this afternoon as well. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Got a big week 2. It's upon us. All right, so get your mind right. Let's get physical. Let's get emotional. Let's get spiritual. You know how we do it. The Crain.